one of the Dakotas, which developed a public bank, as by the way happened in other states in the United States, where they were later privatized. But North Dakota kept it, and it's run as a state enterprise, very conservatively, and they did not have the mortgage collapse that the rest of the United States had. They're a wonderful example of how you could have a public enterprise like a bank, operated on different principles, with a different policy, and much better able. It basically provides credit to farmers and other enterprises that are important in the economy of North Dakota. So I invite you to take a look. You can study it. Go to Google and find it. It's a perfect example. In a rational society, the banks of the United States would long ago have been socialized. This is a performance by private enterprise so abysmal that, again, any rational mentality, not obfuscated by ideological silliness, would have realized, what did you do? You invested millions, billions of dollars of your depositors' money in risky assets. Let me remind, I'm an economics professor, what the role of a bank is. A bank is called a financial intermediary. It's supposed to take the deposits that you as an individual and companies likewise, they put in the bank. And the bank is supposed to take other people's money, the depositors, and lend it out. And when they lend it out, they're supposed to exercise prudence, not to risk unnecessarily other people's money. We entrust them to do that. When millions and millions of people and millions of corporations can't pay back the money they borrowed, no matter how much you blame them who borrowed it, I got news for you. A borrowing, a loan, has got two people, the borrower and the lender. It is expected in economics that borrowers will be over-enthusiastic. It's the job of the bank to lend prudently. And the American banking system failed to perform. And therefore, their right to exist as a private banking system was thrown into question. And one obvious alternative is for the government to perform that function. The socialization or the nationalization of banks. I should tell you that in many European countries, for most of the post-war history, the banks were nationalized. Most banks in France were nationalized, and in other countries as well. So it's nothing new. The state of North Dakota manages just ducky fine, and the nation could learn from North Dakota. So it's a remarkable mentality that does not see that. Public banking is an obvious alternative. Maybe public banks should compete with private ones. There's a thought. The private banker who celebrates in every Kiwanis Club speech the wonders of competition seems not to want to have that in his own industry. Why not let the banks compete with a public enterprise? And if they lose the competition, okay, that's the way the market would work. Oh, it's not fair, they will say. That's what people who lose in the market always say. Why do we take this seriously? It's an ideological commitment to some kind of fantasy notion that private banking works better. There's no evidence for that at all, none. And private banks have been the leaders in collapsing capitalism each time it has collapsed. Final thing, I don't advocate the Mondragon thing as the way to make the revolution. It is an interesting way to build mass involvement with a different system within an old one. It teaches all kinds of valuable lessons to masses of workers about their capacity to run a society. That's a crucial part of them becoming part of a movement, to have the confidence we can change the society because, look, we were able to do this here. Will it be necessary to transform big factories and have it? Sure it will. Will there be political struggles? Of course they'll be there. Mondragon isn't an alternative to all of that, but it can be a very powerful strategy. Mondragon in Spain stands in Spain for something that is more powerful today than at any time in their history. Spanish capitalism is failing the Spanish people, and they all look at Mondragon and they don't see anything like that happening over there, and that's worth 1,000 slogans and demonstrations and is changing Spanish politics. Imagine the United States if we had anything comparable to that going on here. I think it would help make a difference, and it's a lesson we can learn, and we can be helped by the people who have now learned for the last half century how to do that, and are eager and willing to do it here. Not the least of Mondragon's achievements. They have their own university, 4 campuses. It's called Mondragon University, where they have entire curriculums on how workers can become their own directors, can function without a capitalist system. It includes some Americans who went over there and became citizens of Spain and are teaching in that university alongside the people from Spain and other parts of the world, and they have a regular program to teach. It's an impressive achievement, and you know, I understand that we have different ideas, but like the union movement, we're a left. We could use some help, you know? And if this is a way to get us further steps forward, might it not be worth the left thinking about Mondragon, so it's not just the steel workers, but the left who says, wait a minute, this is something that can be yet another way forward. Not the substitute, not the cure-all, but something that can help us. And Harriet wants to...
Yeah, there's also one of the things that we need in our bleeding left in the United States is all the ideas we can get. It's a fascistic notion to think there's only one way of doing anything. And so there has to be a lot of ideas. I mean, one of the things we could do in every dinky little town across this whole United States, there's no socialist meeting, but there's an AA. To take those 12 steps towards the pursuit of happiness for people and say, well, there's 12 steps, but what about the 13th step? And the liquor lobby. What about doing things like that? We have to be open to every personal, every political avenue that we can find, and respect that there can be differences among us with the same goal.